Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I have an easy one pot casserole-esque orzo and shrimp dinner. I love it. It's easy, straightforward. Hopefully the kids like it. We'll see. It's packed with a bunch of flavor. You can absolutely tweak it, make it your own, add a little bit more spice, skip an ingredient here or there, but for the most part, orzo, shrimp, and some Greek flavors. We're gonna get a little feta in there. It's gonna be nice. First things first, let's gather our ingredients. It's kind of a laundry list, so bear with me. Olive oil, red onion, red pepper, lemon, dried oregano, fresh is fine too. Diced tomatoes, 28-ounce can. You know, if it's 28.5, that's fine. If it's 27.5, that's fine. Garlic, baby artichokes packed in water. I'm not getting marinated ones. That's an option if you want. A pound of orzo. Chicken stock. You can absolutely use veg stock here. You can use water. I think it'll lack flavor. I like chicken stock. It's not going to taste chickeny here. It's just going to have a strong flavor backbone, which is what I'm looking for. Feta, basil, and I have a pound of shrimp. You can absolutely go up to a pound and a half. These are like 3140s. If you don't know, that's the number of shrimp per pound. That's going to be enough for me and my family. You can do more. You can do a little less. Now that we got our ingredients, we can get cooking. First things first, I'm going to cut up the onion. I'm choosing a red onion because I'm going to put a little bit on top that's raw. So I'm going to save a little bit. You can use a regular onion. No harm, no foul. We got our onion. Now let's do our red pepper. I'm going to put a little bit of the onion that I'm saving. I'm going to put on this plate here. And then everything else that I'm cooking goes with the red peppers here. Our garlic, our lemon, and our oregano are going together. So I'm just going to combine them in this little mise dish. Please don't judge me. I'm going to be using a garlic press. I typically don't. So I'm doing 6 cloves of garlic here, but I'm adding an extra because I feel like you have to pay the toll for a garlic press. I feel like you always end up one short. Okay, now let's do about a teaspoon of lemon zest here. Save the lemon. We're going to add the juice later. For the oregano, I'm doing dried oregano. You can absolutely use fresh. If you're using fresh, you can go upwards of, let's say, 2 teaspoons. I think it's pretty potent, so going more than that is pretty risky. I'm going to do half a teaspoon dried oregano here. Get your oven middle rack, 400 degrees. I'm using my good old-fashioned cast iron casserole dish. This is what makes it one pan, one pot. If you don't have a stove top casserole dish like this, but you have one that can bake, you can cook this in a skillet and then just transfer it to the casserole dish and bake it. That's fine. I'm doing this. It's going to be one pot, one pan, and we're Gucci. All right, over medium heat, I'm going to heat up about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Get to a shimmer. It's going to take 2 to 3 minutes over medium heat. Then we're going to get our veg in. Let's open up our can. Diced tomatoes, and I'm not draining it. I'm going to use the liquid. Got a pound of orzo. It's a box of orzo. For my baby artichokes, I'm going to drain them, press them, pat them dry. Let's get our veg in. Oil shimmering. It's going to be a beautiful, colorful, flavorful dish. 1/4 teaspoon, half a teaspoon of salt, depending if you're using table or kosher. Don't forget to season as you go. We'll get levels of flavor. While that's sauteing, it's going to take maybe 5 minutes. If you get some light browning on it, that's fine too. Just going to try and press out all that excess water here. Not a huge deal. We're not sauteing them. We're not browning them. Just want to get it out. It can be somewhat salty sometimes. If they're really small, maybe just halve them. If they're big, you can quarter them. Anyone watching this? All right, I'm just going to throw them in with my peppers and onions. Heck, you can probably skip the shrimp here. I'm not going to because it's delicious. I'm just saying you could. All right, we're getting there. We're about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way. Our peppers, our onions, our artichokes, they're looking good. Let's get our aromatics in. Remember, we had like 6 cloves of garlic, teaspoon of lemon zest, half a teaspoon of dried oregano. Here we go. Kind of Greek flavors. Garlic, lemon, oregano, olive oil. These smells hitting you with the onion and the artichoke. Oh, I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. Let's do another tablespoon. I like it rich. All right, let's add in our orzo. This is a pound. Let's go straight in. Throw it around. And yes, I know we're using chicken stock in a fish dish. Just deal with it. It's just background flavor, but it's not going to taste like chicken. 4 cups chicken broth. Now we're going to bring it up to a simmer. You're going to cook the orzo until it's just barely al dente. And that's going to be, depending on the orzo you get and the size and whatnot, let's say about 10 minutes. As soon as that hits, we'll carry on. But right now, let's cut up a little bit of our basil, which will go on top. Right, next up is our shrimp. I've rinsed them, drained them, patted them dry. Let's add a teeny bit of olive oil. Let's say a teaspoon. You don't need a lot, just enough to coat them. And toss it around here. Season it with a little bit of salt. Half a teaspoon. Let's also prep our feta. I'm doing 8 ounces here. You can do 12. You can do a pound, however much feta you want. Crumbling my feta. We're looking good. We're just waiting for this orzo. It's going to finish cooking. Well, not completely finished, but we're going to get it to al dente. And as soon as that's done, we're going to stir in our tomatoes. We're going to get our shrimp on. We're going to sprinkle and crumble our feta over top, and then we're going to bake it. It's going to bake for about 20 minutes until the shrimp is cooked through and the orzo is tender. Maybe we'll try and get a little color on the feta. Not a huge deal if you do or don't. But then we're going to pull it out, let it cool a little bit, sprinkle on our basil and diced onions. Dig in. It's going to be delicious. We have our orzo. It's soaked up a bunch of liquid. It's pretty much par cooked. It's almost al dente. All right. You want it there. 10 to 12 minutes. Cook it. Simmer it. All right. We did that. It absorbed a lot of that liquid. Perfect. Now let's get our tomatoes, and that's why we're putting our liquid in as well. All right. So I got my diced tomatoes here. Gonna stir them in. Look at this veg forward dish. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Shrimp going in. Sprinkle them over top here. I'm just gonna lightly kind of press them in. I don't necessarily want them fully submerged because I want to be able to find them so I can serve them. But I don't want them kind of dangling all the way out. I want them to cook through. All right, now let's get our feta on top. 400 degree oven, middle rack. Bake it till the shrimp are done. 15, 20 minutes, really depends. You also want to make sure the orzo is fully cooked through. Perfect. We got a teeny bit of browning here on the feta at the top. Anything that was poking up got a little bit of browning. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Our shrimp looks cooked. It's starting to curl. We got the right color. Great. So I'm going to let this sit for maybe 5-10 minutes. It's got to cool. Orzo has to keep absorbing a little bit of that liquid. I'll plate it. I'll eat it. And we'll get going. Get some of these onions on top. A little bit of the basil. Sauteed some pepper and onions. Added in a little bit of artichoke. Plenty of olive oil. Probably about 3 tablespoons. Seasoned it with maybe a half teaspoon of salt. That's all the salt I put in. Our shrimp are salty. Our stock is salty. Our tomatoes that we add in are salty. We didn't need to add any more elsewhere. You can absolutely season it to taste. Let's do a little squeeze of lemon here. Put it over the whole thing. Add a little bit of acidity, bright freshness. A little bit of basil does the same thing. Nice bite of feta there. Orzo, perfect. It's got a nice little chew to it, but it's not crunchy, so it's fully cooked. It's still a little bit al dente, even though I might classify it as going past it. Tomato, I just had a bite of artichoke there. Look at this. This is delicious. Full of flavor. Who doesn't love artichoke? Who doesn't love artichoke here? Shrimp. It's delicious. Shrimp perfectly cooked, nicely poached. You can see that it's not curled up tightly in a really tight ball, like this tail isn't like coming all the way in. So it's not overcooked. It's so tender, full of flavor. This just makes me feel good to eat. Got a little bit of raw onion there, but this isn't white, so it's not as sharp. Nice little pop. Nice little crunch too. Good flavor. It's just so homey, and I love the feta here. I think it's the right amount. This was probably closer to 12 ounces. I think that's the right amount. Because when you get a bite of feta, it's a little bit of sharpness, but it's also creaminess. And it kind of helps make everything a little bit of more cohesive. One pot meal. It looks as good as it tastes. Nope. It tastes as good as it looks. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you saw, don't forget, follow me on Twitch and YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Take care.